doing this quick video as a sort of addition to the previous 2020, the previous February 2020 video that I did, where I went over each day of February 2020. I have a link to that one. I just put in the chat box. I'll add it later as well. But this video, I'm going to talk about some of the really explosive potential in February 2020. And, you know, the explosive potential is pretty noticeable. That's why I'm doing a separate video talking about it. First, as you see, I have brought up the chart here of what happened in 9/11, where we have at that time we had actually the these hours aren't correct. It happened around this time, and you could see that we have this conjunction here, first of all, of this K2 Mars in Sagittarius. You see, that was 9/11/2001, which really affected the world for quite a few years to come, because it was not only that those planes were flown into the buildings, but then this whole war in Iraq and destabilizing activities since then took place. So it was a very catalyzing event with a lot of repercussions. K2 Mars here in Mula. And then you had Rahu in Ardra. Again, Rahu is about 9 degrees. K2, Rahu and K2 are about 9 degrees. Jupiter was also in Ardra. So as you can see, coming up here in a couple weeks, I'm recording this on February 1st, very early in the morning. As you can see, around the 18th of February, we're going to have the moon also hit this same energy here, the same point. Like you see the way the moon hit up here in Mrigashira and Ardra Nakshatra, especially Ardra. And I will tell you that I've been watching these things for quite a while, and Ardra is really the destructive one. Very destructive. Mrigashira to Ardra, this transition is where there's a lot of destruction, just like what happened on 9/11. Where if we look in the next couple weeks, we see, first of all, I want to show you that when the moon starts getting close to this axis, it starts to get into that sort of hot zone. So like February 16th, 17th, 18th, especially, we see it's joined. So 16, 17, 18, very much in that zone where it goes through Mula Nakshatra. Mula is related to the goddess Kali, who is, of course, the one that blows up and destroys things and all like that. And so that's very intense. And then if we go forward a couple weeks, when we get, especially here in the March 3rd and 4th, March 3rd and 4th also, when the moon hits this conjunction with Rahu in Ardra, you see how much it looks like the 9/11 chart, with which had moon, Rahu, and Ardra here, and then Jupiter was also there. You see this one also has Jupiter, Mars, and K2. They're all the same ones, are pretty close. But particularly this moon in Ardra also, which is early March 3rd and 4th, is the other intense time to watch. So it might even be a little more noticeable because when we have this first transit here, we have exalted Venus, which is definitely what I would consider to be, could definitely be seen as a mitigating factor just in general, because that exalted Venus is bringing just in general a sense of healing and peace. And by the time we get to March 3rd and 4th, look, Venus has moved into Aries, much different energy. Of course, Aries is a sign of battle, explosiveness. It's ruled by Mars. So that's a totally different energy than than Venus in Pisces. So this could definitely show a little more of that intensity. Now, in addition to the moon hitting this conjunction with Ketu Mars, Mercury turns retrograde on the 17th. So as I say, 18th and 19th are really, 17, 18, 19 are really when it gets intense. But here on the 17th, Mercury also turns retrograde. So we also have a Mercury retrograde here that starts. It's in the sign of Aquarius, which is also the sign of like the public. That's what Aquarius is. Has to do with culture, society, the public. So again, this kind of foretells that maybe, this 18th, 19th, and also by the time the moon gets over here, we still have the retrograde going. Mercury is still retrograde here. And in particular, because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini at this time, which is where we have the moon Rahu. It's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's retrograde. This shows more potential difficulty in that axis, which is early March. So just showing you the similarities to the 9/11 chart and this chart. We also even see, some oppositions. This is, it's sort of an opposite point in the year. It's about 6 months minus a week, about 6 months opposite. You can see the sun here was at 1933. It was at 24 here, which is about 5 or 6 days difference from 9/11 to March 3rd. So this, reflects a kind of opposition point. We see all the oppositions here. The same Mars Ketu and Moon Rahu as we had at that time. So again, this configuration only comes around once every like 18, 19 years. This is why 9/11, 2001, this is 2001, this is 2020, and that's the last time Rahu and Ketu hit this axis. So this is pretty significant to look at. And again, thinking what it could mean, it could mean a lot of things. In particular, though, I would say that often what we have is, as we saw here, we can have this potential for like a mass casualty sort of event. The tsunami that hit in Indonesia also had a very strong transit of the moon through Mrigashira and Ardra, and Mars was in Scorpio, I believe, when that happened, or it might have also been in Mula, but I definitely remember that the moon went through Mrigashira and Ardra at that time when the Indonesian earthquake and then tsunami happened. In addition, Hurricane Katrina had the same signature of the moon passing from Mrigashira into Ardra. And so, again, this is kind of a signature of this transit just of the moon. Moving from Mrigashira to Ardra is always difficult, or it can be difficult if there are other factors. And here we have quite a few. That's why I said this end might be more even than the other end, even though we have Ketu Mars here. Moon, Rahu, and particularly this Mrigashira to Ardra shift is really big. Now, this 6 degrees of Sagittarius and Gemini, that's where the plane of the galaxy runs. So this is literally the plane of the galaxy, the galactic plane. And that's really symbolized by Shiva up here in Ardra Nakshatra, and Kali, his wife, down here in Mula Nakshatra. So again, this is really a section of the sky where there is tons of transformation. And in the web class that I did with this website, rahuketu2020.com, I think that's right. I actually talked about that section of the sky and all the mythology, especially down here in this section of the sky, and this Shiva Kali energy, that Shiva Kali axis that exists along that level and along that realm. And I did a web class that you can get, and part of it was the mystical cosmic stellar universe is shown here. Shiva Shakti lives here. The nakshatras as well, the nakshatra shifts. Very important in that section of the sky. And so this is, going to be very important to look at with this. With this shift, February 2020. As I said, I have a full class or a full video on it that I did. You can see right here, and I'll put the link in the description, and here it is again there. And that's the full video for each day, for every day. But I wanted to make this one too, just to be dedicated to this part of the month where we have this potential explosiveness, so you could see, and you could see why. So, oops, that's the 9/11 chart. So again, this is the 9/11 chart. This is the one we're dealing with. So February 17, 18, 16, 17, 18 especially. Mercury turns retrograde on the 17th. Again, when Mercury goes retrograde, it'll be in Aquarius, which is the sign of the public, large groups of people. It can definitely show a kind of confusion with people, like, with society, culture, large groups of people. Let's hope that we don't get a lot of, a kind of explosive, some kind of military action or terrorist event or something like that. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if right around this time something like that happened. It wouldn't surprise me. And someone said, I think there was a comment about money or something, finances. It could be, it's always possible, but that seems like less likely with this kind of thing, because Mars Ketu, finances usually has to do with things like the sun and Saturn, particularly because we have these exalted planets that also have to do with finances. Mercury can always bring a little bit of that, and stock markets and stuff, they always go up and down. So I don't predict things like that unless you get a crash that sends panic or something, which I'm not seeing that here. But definitely also by early March, right here with this March 3rd and 4th, particularly because now Venus has moved out of exaltation, moved into Aries, and Mercury is still retrograde. That could definitely be a time when we see it, again, that kind of explosive potential. And again, part of it is because I've tracked it for a while. So this is just a quick update. It's a little late here. I thought I would do this just because I'm not sure I'll be able to get to doing much in the next couple of days because of things I have going on. But anyway, I am live, and I'm just going to leave it at that and just let people see these particular dates. So you all have a good one. Take care.